Hi, I'm Mark Cleghorn. Welcome to the Photography Academy, and today we're talking about creating and trying to produce more of a brand boudoir image that represents you instead of just following the flock and shooting what everybody else does. First of all, the thing I should say is that do not be afraid of being a sheep. In other words, being a part of following the flock. In the early days of your boudoir photography, that's almost essential for you to kind of perfect your posing, your lighting. But at the heart of what we do as photographers at some stage, especially if you're going to turn this into a financial element, is you've got to start to shoot with real clients. Yeah, images we're going to be seeing today are basically using a model on one of my workshops. Obviously, I usually use a combination of a model or models and real clients coming back in for a shoot on the workshops and things really. But when you start to actually shoot in a workshop, it's very, very similar in a way in kind of beginning to create a brand of image. What do I mean by that? So once we're photographing with real clients, we'll know that probably 80% of the shoot or 50% of the shoot, whichever, is going to be the kind of the conveyor belt stuff, the stuff that you do every time, all right? But then you've got to allow yourself some creative input towards the end. And if you don't allow yourself creative time and creative design, as it were, you're basically going to soon kind of get into a rut, and you're going to fall out of love with your photography. And I can tell you straight that, you know, being a boudoir photographer or a photographer of women, there for me is not a better career that I could have chose for myself in the world of photography, whether it's shooting brides or in fact boudoir. And from kind of going through boudoir for brides, we call that bridal boudoir or bridal confidential, our more erotica kind of style of boudoir photography, which would be called the confidential boudoir, or our standard boudoir shoots, which would be the white sheet. Whichever you kind of choose to take yourself down, we've got to play around. Now, the benefit of when I'm shooting on workshops, of course, is that I get to inspire you. I get to kind of really play with things in a little bit more. But I also get you to demonstrate to you my kind of brand images, and using either flash or sunlight to redirect itself to create more of a spotlight effect is definitely a part of my brand boudoir. What do I mean by brand boudoir? It would be images that I'm using, you know, that 80% or at minimum 50% of the time to kind of promote my photography. And once you kind of create a brand boudoir image, you might find that that photograph is being used time and time again for years and years and years because it is representation of you. So in the same way as kind of experimenting with a model, I would definitely encourage you to experiment with clients. Just make sure that the first part of the shoot that you're doing is all about her, and you're gonna really get your kind of what she's expecting. And then at that kind of last part of the shoot, last 20%, whatever it would be, make sure you're adding some creative kind of spark into your imagery. I would definitely try and fixate on either color or black and white. So if you can kind of start to develop a boudoir business, which involves the two of them, great. But then at some stage, our marketing images that we use are going to be ones which they're kind of going to pick up on more. Obviously on YouTube, really being followed by photographers, but in the real world, you know, what images is a real client going to kind of respond to more than anything else. So as far as the look and the feel to the photograph, the one thing that I want to do to begin with is to make sure the pose is always sexy, and the cloth or the bedding or the set or the room is always kind of a classy environment, that it feels rich and kind of textured and so on with it. As far as the lighting is concerned, I always want the light to kind of be a little bit more dynamic than the flatness. You've seen me many, many times shoot a kind of a Marilyn Monroe style of white sheet kind of last session. But I always want to create that little bit of drama. And even kind of an image like we're seeing on screen now, even if this is your brand marketing image, it means that more often than not, that is being shot during every single session eventually. But as I said, you might not find this kind of brand or variety of photograph for a good 2 or 3 years into your kind of world of photography and things really. So find a development time in every single shoot that you are doing. Put away what you always do, yeah, and get something new out. It could be an LED light, it could be a speed light, it could be a mirror. But whatever it would be, try something different to start to move away from the flock and start to be an individual more, at least to actually start to develop the brand. Remember, the brand image is designed to be attraction, so attractive to the client to look at and book us. It doesn't always mean that client is going to be buying it. Some of the best images I've ever shot have never been sold, okay? That's besides the point. Beauty's always in the beholder, but the client's got the purse strings. So as long as I'm pushing myself and pushing the session creative with everybody that we kind of deal with, whether they are a model or they're a real client, then they're going to actually have a wow experience. And at the end of the day, the kind of the boudoir photography that I try and kind of show and give to a client is more about empowerment and the whole experience. And even models at times, this model that we used on the workshop, Porsche, absolutely brilliant. We used the loads and things really. But it's these kind of things that allow you to just kind of, again, take your style to a different direction, and then it allows you to at least look at your boudoir photography and your brand images through different eyes. Hope you enjoyed this film. See you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.